We're going live. Alrighty, guys, we got an interesting guy with us today. He's from our group. I think he's big in socionics. His
Yeah.
name is Cluster. So it's gonna be interesting to ask him questions to see if we can figure out his personality type, and then at the end we can ask him, is it similar to his personality type in socionics? So that'd be kind of cool too. Cluster, man, how'd you get into type?
Typology, that's kind of a long story. So I was like low-key doom scrolling when I was like 17. So I was in Pakistan, right? And I was like, all right, my sisters and my cousin have like vanquished my room from me. So I'm like, okay, so this is very interesting. So I just like opened up YouTube since I was just like killing time pretty much, or time was killing me. So I was just like scrolling, and then there was this guy, one of my Frank James at the time, but like people who are very early into MBTI would be like familiarized with him, depending on where they came from. So I pretty much like, oh, these are like funny letters, all right. So I'm like bored, right, and like autism's gonna like factor into it. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to like take out time out of my day just to do like some goofy test just to see which four letters I am in this like taxonomy or whatever. So I just did that anyway. I'm like, all right, I have a label, I identify with it, so I can watch memes. And then when I got more into it, because I was studying A-level psychology at the time, I was like, this is pretty, interesting in a sense of like actually codifying like, differences in personality, differences between like me, you, and how we like think and perceive and judge like information, right? And we are able to kind of like share of like a common vernacular around it, so we can actually exchange ideas using this like lexicon. So I found it really interesting, right? And then I was just like, okay, so in this model there's these things called the cognitive functions, right? So I was just kind of like aware in terms of like, all right, okay, what are those things? How do people perceive like this information like this way? And then we got introduced like full function models, and then like around June time in 2021, I was still like a minor, like, so. But I was like, I made a third Discord account because like I think my younger sister got me into Discord or something happened, and I was just into these intellectual communities because someone invited me from like Reddit. Anyway, it was like a psychology server or whatever. I remember it was related to pathology, for instance. There was a lot of talk regarding the big five, psychometrics, that kind of thing. And later on, I was like, all right, this Mavu guy, I one of this like is a typology YouTubers. Um, he has a Discord. Let's just join that and interact with people. And so I did. And then like later on, I was introduced to other systems. Like it was like chess because I saw people have these roles for the typology. So I was just like into that. I explored OPS for a while. Debian like model, for instance, but I am aware it was like an eight function model. But obviously, like I knew the Cursey temperaments because that just gets prefaced 16p without like knowing or familiarizing myself with like Baron's work until like very later on, even after my introduction to like socionics back in like late 2021. Um, and like a lot of early 2022, but I didn't like start seriously like taking notes and like modeling more actively until actually last year. I was like more so passively learning at the time, and then I was like, well, the original idea was to like formulate like notes for myself pretty much because I was really into this stuff. But then like my notes just became very much for like didactic like purposes, and then almost like pedagogical purposes, right? And then I would start to teach others my stuff, and I was like, okay, this is very interesting. So I really enjoyed that, and and it purports to people, if a model has like potential this way in terms of describing like real world like phenomena, or what I would call proto scientific, then I'd be like, it might be interesting to explore it because it does explain like a lot of like things, and it relates to the self and others in like both a psychological and sociological context. So I mean, yeah, it seemed cool pretty much, and I there was a lot of things that happened in a way, a lot of like Discord stuff, but like that was just the whole thing. Like that was just the brief of it.
Yeah, yeah, that's awesome, bro. That's fucking a pretty awesome story, man. What is something that excites you? Like, what gets you happy? Like, what gets you going?
I don't know. It's like, it's there's a lot of random things. For instance, like I guess interests could be a thing. So there's a lot of things that is related to my interests because we like in some part like our interest choose you in a sense. Maybe whether it's due to like biological factors such as temperament, environmental factors, and stuff we like pick up, right? So there's a basic ones that go into like anime and gaming, but also around that time I also really got into like coffee. The
Coffee.
coffees, yeah, like coffee
Yeah,
science.
I
Like
had
if you
a.
look behind me, right, like back there's a whole like setup.
Mhm.
That, so I have an electric gooseneck kettle, for instance, that's temperature controlled. I have many coffee devices such as like a pour over V60. I have an aeropress. I have a bunch of other things as well, like a French press. um, and actually give me 1 second, my third monitor just like turned off.
Yeah, I had a buddy of mine who, like, he was crazy on, and he talked about coffee in his typing session,
Yeah.
and like how coffee, like, basically gives him everything in life. Okay, what's your thoughts on coffee? Like, anything you want to share?
Oh right, yeah. So once I go like into the technicalities with like chemistry and physics as well, but in terms of like personal enjoyment, I do like the flavor of filter coffee, especially when you find like right specialty coffee and like when you taste a cup, right, if you brew it the right way, it's like you're going down a journey, right, of like tasting. So like especially as a coffee like gets colder or cooler, you're actually just flavors and stuff start like opening up more, which is just very interesting. So I do like kind of like the sort like almost experiencing a history and geography of stuff through like for instance flavor. I think that is a very fascinating thing and how we build like associations, like through like maybe classical and operant like conditioning, for instance, through these like behavioral like paradigm. So that's also very fascinating. And also, I like caffeine. Like I want to be like stimulated somewhat. So uh, I'm not sure if this would serve as a confounding variable, but I'm also slightly sleep deprived, so that will also serve as a confounding variable. But I had like 150 milligrams of caffeine prior to this typing session, so but I didn't. I made sure not to exceed like 200, so we're good.
Yeah, 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 yeah. So, if can I ask you, like, what's the difference between you on caffeine and you not on caffeine?
Uh, I'm a lot more. Well, would depressed be the right word? But it's just kind of like, for instance, like a lot of inertia, for instance, like through sleep and even behavioral and like cognitive inertia, for instance. I just like go through my life as though I'm like a living zombie almost, where I just like actually get these major headaches. Like it could be also be withdrawal symptoms, but also my sleep schedule is like kind of cooked. But like my
I know what
circadian
that's like.
rhythm, yeah, circadian rhythm is like awful. So I go to bed, for reference sake, at like between 6 and like 10 a.m., and I wake up between like 1 and 7 p.m.
Oh shit! So you like to stay up all night?
Yeah. Honestly, if it was a couple of hours before and I woke up a few hours before, then I wouldn't be complaining because like during the summer, like between let's say the second half of May and the end of July, or maybe even very early August, I have kind of, yes, my sleep schedule is kind of monophasic. Like if I don't have uni or anything like that, so I would go to bed. I would wait. I would go to bed after the Fajr prayer. So because I'm Muslim, so that's the context. So I would stay up until dawn, pretty much, pray that, so I don't have to like shift my sleep schedule like biphasically, and that would be more convenient to me. And I do like having some time to myself. So, but whereas if we go back to like September, right, September to like Ramadan now, I it's still monophasic, but in the other extreme where I wake up or try to wake up at least at like 5:30 a.m. and stay up, so like it shifts radically throughout the year. but it's like very like planned also.
Okay. Yeah, that's awesome. I want to ask you a tougher question here. If people were coming to you and they wanted to get better with understanding how to think better,
Hmm?
what would you tell them?
It depends on the problem. So it's like tailored to the individual because everyone has like cognitive biases and stuff, including myself. So I'd just kind of be like, okay, I could just give them general rules as well, like critical thinking, just to just evaluate something before kind of like certain diction. Because oftentimes we will kind of jump to like associative, like intuitive jumps because it's more convenient, and that's how we like survive right through like pattern recognition and classical conditioning for stuff. Threat, not threat. And then we kind of like clump up into thinking into these kind of fallacious like categorical thinking because it's convenient, right? So I guess it's more like if we go round the evolutionary route. I'm not a Darwinist myself in terms of like what I purport, but it's like some explanatory mechanisms that just like add to kind of my set of points on my argument is that it helps us survive, and it's like nature is just telling us, okay, well, we kind of like think or organize our thinking in relation to kind of what keeps us alive as opposed to what kind of is like inherently true in like a sophisticated sense. Now a lot of us like sentiments will align with our truth because like the truth is very useful, for instance, but like you don't want to be like rooted in like falsehoods, for instance, but no, it's mainly kind of like a lot of it's a survival mechanism, pretty much. So I would say, like in terms of like critical thinking, is just like deeply analyze stuff, and before you make these intuitive leaps, actually analyze the veracity of like each kind of like statement. So you could just do like a value in terms of Boolean logic, and then after you've done that, you kind of like you can just open up to like some more sophisticated forms of reasoning. What if it isn't just like a dialectic? What if it's just more than that? Or you can just use like other forms of reasoning in order to like analyze these claims, I guess.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Thomas, anything?
Um, what would you say is like the biggest problem with like humanity or the world?
Hmm. Interesting. I think there are a lot of things that are wrong with humanity in the world. For instance, I think hubris might be one of them, in the sense of like kind of like, okay, well, it can be a very useful like weapon in terms of like actually like facilitating human development, but in a sense of like infallibility, for instance, and where we kind of like almost worship the sense of egos. Because the thing about like humans and stuff is that, you're aware of like the Jungian or Piagetian idea of like God, in a sense of like kind of positioning it as like a hierarchy of values, and wherever it sits at the most bottom, or like the fundamental like edifice of that, would be a placeholder for God. So it's in a sense of like kind of like attaching it to like either materialistic like philosophies, or just like an egoic kind of sense, without kind of attaching to anything like spiritual. And that's probably why the reason why kind of like Jung said that the West is like thriving like technological giants but moral dwarfs, pretty much. Like there's a lot of degeneracy, like for instance in the modern West. um, that is one like reason, or one thing, I guess, that came to mind.
Yeah, yeah. Uh, what does a normal weekend look like for you?
Oh, that's an interesting question. I hope I'm more productive soon, but pretty much a lot of the things is revolving around like gaming, like chatting with people on Discord and anime, and a lot of it's kind of like work, and also working on my socionics projects, or even like non-socionics projects, like modeling, for instance, or just learning cool subjects, or just watching videos, for instance. Like for instance, like with like Meta right now, I'm just like finishing an anime like film. So that's what I've been like doing. And
Okay.
also like I've been posting. You're probably aware, but I've been posting a lot of stuff like in the Socionics channel on
Sociology.
your
Yeah,
server, and
yeah.
and it's pertaining to like modeling. Like the most recent thing I posted right now is me kind of categorizing the structural differences between like all the A models, because like Model A is kind of like an umbrella term that refers to when you get to it, like when you get to the if you talk about a subject matter like precisely, right, you you need to like work out the theoretical differences. That's something you need to do. So like in terms of the veracity of the claims, for instance, like when you get to like the mathematical or structural evidence, well, you need to start like compartmentalizing and synthesizing in the appropriate manner so you can actually build better categories. I could explain the abstract algebra, but that would just be like too laborious, so I'll probably like stop here.
Yeah, you're good, man. That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, I think for me, it's I'm going down a path. It's like okay, we started with MBTI, we integrated a little bit more Enneagram, but the thing about me is I don't like to put too many things on my plate at one time
Mm-hmm.
because I am a like I like to master things, and then once I master them, and I'll move on to the next thing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like I'm like slowly getting there, but then people want to like pull me to like they
Different
want to
types of
pull me
quotas, yeah.
to let's say psychosophy, and then they want to pull me to socionics, and then somebody says Model G, and then somebody says Model A, and then I'm like, yo, slow down because I want to master Enneagram. I want to make sure I get that right because then I have two master systems together, and then I want to go into the next thing. But you know how people, you know how it is. You know, it's a slow process. But people expect speed, you know. But I think speed comes with error.
Yeah, I think that's what many like Velsy people think, because they like take the time out to like figure this out slowly themselves, but they kind of want, and I might like fall into it because I get so excited about this sort of stuff sometimes. It's like, yeah, you know, my refinement came through like maybe months, maybe years, even though like I can abstract things like product, I would imagine very well, but I wouldn't say that, you know, like I'd expect everyone to like, you know, be at the same speed, although I'm like eager to have like a didactic approach, like, you know, like presenting concepts, for instance.
Hmm.
Um, so
Yeah.
it can just be like just a point of like, well, you need to learn this, and you need to learn this. It's like, yeah, well, if you think about it or introspect, like I'm pretty much of a convergent like person with myself when it comes to this sort of stuff. Like specializations like exist for a reason, you know.
Hmm. Yeah. I think I've heard that there's a metric in sociology that's called like convergent and divergent, but basically it just means are you like an NI user or an NE user, essentially.
No, well,
Yeah.
like Avalonia uses convergent divergent for like the dichotomy name for asking declaring, so it's just another name for that. So it's kind of like okay, so pretty much like how the reigning dichotomies are pretty much extrapolated. It's pretty
Hmm.
much you can start with the four Jungian dichotomies, like the Jungian basis, so to speak, as your linear basis. So you have like extroversion, introversion, intuitive,
Hmm.
sensory, logical, ethical, and irrational, rational. And then what you
Hmm.
can do is you can actually solve linearly, right, to complete the whole dichotomy system, so it becomes like a closed group. So you just generate the 11 reigning dichotomies from there, and then from that you have like the reigning dichotomy system, right? You could
Hmm.
also do the same thing with Kersey-Behrens, by the way, like the dichotomies you use. I've had fun with
Hmm.
that like earlier this year as well as last year. So you can
Hmm.
actually like choose four, you know, because I know you have like six vectors or
Hmm.
dichotomies that you use. So you can start off with like four linearly independent like dichotomies, and you could
Hmm.
extrapolate like the rest of the 11 dichotomies that are part of this system. So which are mostly are like undefined, right? So it's between. So okay, so six of the, let's start with the six vectors that are like explicitly Casey-Behrens and they are defined, right?
Hmm.
So you have those, and then some of the other ones will be Reinian dichotomies, and some of the other ones will be defined. I mean undefined, right? But you know, you could actually just form like just this whole space just using that. So I think that's a pretty like cool idea. Um,
Yeah. That's awesome. See anything?
Yeah. When you meet someone new, what's like the first thing you feel like you usually like pick up on when like meeting a new person?
for instance, I guess like present. So it's like there's a bunch of things. It's like I guess you could make like lateral assessments and like like vertical assessments, right? So you could just say that, for instance, like maybe how introvert or extrovert, how much do they speak in VC, for instance, and what is their energy level like while speaking in a VC, or is their presence when kind of do they get interrupted often? How much are they interrupted? What is the veracity of their ideas? For instance, what kind of topics do they particularly talk about? Yeah, I'm not usually like conscious of everything, all of these feats while I'm in VC, but it's just very much like as much, I guess, pragmatic or realistic to like consider. For instance, especially stuff that you can like pick up on, especially when you spend like sessions with them, and you can see them in different contexts, for instance, and to see if we can develop a consistent scheme or pattern around them. Because we develop models of people around them all the time, so you're never actually engaging with a person, because we just kind of like all we need to do is like all we can do is pretty much like compress information that is workable, so we can deal with that information. It's just almost goes back to like Kantian philosophy, the phenomena and the nomina, right?
Mm-hmm.
What are you going to school for?
Like what major am I in? So like computer science. Um, I'm doing computer science degree. I'm on my summer break right now, but yeah.
Yeah, so I want to ask you, what do you think about AI and computer science?
Oh yeah.
Thoughts on the longevity of that field?
Well, okay, so there's a bunch of things, right? So like people like when you go like, about CS, like about AI, yeah, a lot of it is AI. I mean, my friend, it's just kind of like when it comes to AI, like it will still keep going, but it's mainly about fluctuations in like investment that will just like determine its like longevity, right? So uh, with AI, like LLMs, it's more like I'm fascinated with the subject matter, like taxonomical or kind of like representing language as kind of like a multi-dimensional like a vector space, which is very interesting since it's just kind of like an estimation or model of how we can mathematically represent like words, like just language, just assign them like tokens and you know and a million like dimensions, and then kind of like parameterize kind of the proximity of like this word with another word, and then have like computation kind of like represent that, right? And so we can actually generate like predictions like what's statistically likely going to come up next. Like even before AI setting with this thing, it was just like someone was just experimenting with how like human like pattern recognition works, instead of blurring out words so they can guess what word comes next in like a excerpt of like a track, and they kind of figured out the minimum like number of words needed in a sentence. I forgot the exact number. Was it like 11%? I forgot the exact ratio, but that was kind of like used, right? So it's just kind of a very cool thing. But in terms of like AI, in terms of like longevity, I do believe like, so it's like, well, you need people to program the AIs and stuff, especially the high end AI. So computer science degrees are not like mitigating easily. Or it's becoming very hard where the computer science student, the average computer science major, might as well like be homeless, because the low end like jobs are going to be like kind of slowly replaced by like automation. But at the same time, it is also like exposing the industry of like people just like memorizing like lines of code and like executing them, rather than kind of like creative problem solving and generation, pretty much. But I do believe like we are kind of cooked.
Yeah, man. It's an interesting time, I was wondering why you were going in that field, but I guess I mean, I guess there'll always be opportunities, right?
Well,
There's
Mm.
always gonna be opportunities.
the thing that like what I just heard yesterday is like, well, number one, like unemployment rates right now are actually like very low. So people keep talking about AI is limiting jobs, but as of right now, it's not really happening yet.
Yeah.
And like what basically, I know I'm no expert. What I'm hearing is like the best combination is people with AI, not AI alone.
Oh, yeah, I
So
agree with
as
that
much
part.
as AI will eliminate jobs, it will also create jobs. So I'm kind of like pessimistic in terms of like what the future is going to be like, but maybe it's not as bad as I'm assuming.
Yeah, and
So
other different parts of the world and like job opportunities in general. Like maybe like certain regions of the world will have like more job opportunities open and others like a lot less, for instance. So there might be another like a lot of factors, especially with like investment into AI. But it's a bit of a mix, I'd say.
Yeah, yeah. What do you think is the dream job for you?
Oh, I mean that keeps fluctuating. It's like, do I even have it? Do I even have a dream job anymore? Because I'm just interested in sort of things, right? Like for instance, a lot of recently we've been like more so mathematics and like analytical and even ethical like philosophy, but like before it was just kind of like okay, when I was like 11 years old and I was in that primary school, I was like, what if I just like, it was the CEO of like a tech company, for instance, it was like just making an allegory for like video game like consoles. And during my early and my more formative years, I wanted to be kind of like a game developer. So when I learned like Python programming when I was like 12 or 13, I was just like, yeah, let's just create these cool side projects. And then like 50, when I was like 15 or 14 years old, I decided to like make a website and taught myself like well, front end web development, like up to a certain point it's like really accessible, I'd say. Like for instance, say I kind of wanted to eagerly learn it at the time, and my teachers were extremely slow. So like I could get like more than like a year's worth of like work of like actual web development done in like a few hours, for instance. So it was very cool. It's like the thing with like studying, right? Like the most effective form of studying is like when you just have like when you take an autodidactic approach to it. Like you're just not gonna have like be extremely effective if your education slowly comes from like institutionalization and kind of like pedagogical like industry. It's like what you're just gonna like learn just like what the baseline and then how much I'm gonna retain of its like dopaminergic circuits kind of like associated with like motivation and like incentive. So
Yeah, 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 man. You're a really smart guy. You're a really smart guy. I mean, I don't think I. It's weird that I like. Yeah, I'm like, oh, yeah, this is a really smart guy here. Um,
good.
uh,
Yes.
what would the world? Oh, you're not there, are you?
No,
Can't
no, I
hear.
am there. I'm there.
Okay. What would the world look like if it was more people like you in it? What would be the good things? What would be the bad things?
Sorry, can you repeat that?
So, if the world had more people like you in it, what would that world look like? The good things and the bad things.
The good things is like I don't know. I mean, when I was like young, I was like very self-deprecating. I was like, yes, I know positive qualities, but like uh, um, it's like I think people just take a more impartial or analytical approach to things, which will just get like rid of like mitigate a lot of like unnecessary like conflict that isn't supposed to happen, and like all emotionally sobriety. So I think things in a rational scale will like go smoothly, and people will just like be at least kind of an adherence to like truth to some degree. As much as that word is kind of like corny because of like how much it gets abused, for instance, especially words like objectivity. It's just like people just kind of misapplying it, or at least when they do kind of apply it in a different context and not like specifying the definitional like framing. So it's just very much weird. There is a lot of negatives though, like in a real world, would anything ever get done? Like actually consistently and for the long term. Like maybe if someone was really into their like craft, sure. Like I could see myself like looking in, I suppose. Um, and but it's just as like I'm very low in like conscientiousness, like industriousness, especially if like features that are just like that don't interest me, that don't interest me at all. Um, and That don't excite me, to be honest. And like I trait neuroticism, so that's more like a safety security thing, because it's just kind of like high like trait anxiety and like somewhat high like high depression. Although I wouldn't say I'm clinically depressed. Although you could make a case for when I was younger. because I did mention when I was younger that I was like moderately depressed, but like nobody cares about that. So yeah.
Can I ask you a question? What do you think led to your depression?
I don't know. It's too much like A level work, to be honest. Bullying, a sense of isolation, to be honest. Like I don't know. I was kind of used to it because like I had suicidal, like extreme suicidal thoughts since I was like 11 years old. So it's just kind of like, oh, it's just those again. So it's just kind of like recognizing a pattern, especially as of now, and be like,
Hmm.
okay, there's these kind of like sequence of like inferences. Okay, very interesting. So you just kind of like observe your thoughts, and then kind of, so what I do is, I don't know if it's due to like schizoid tendencies, there's kind of like a fragmentation, or kind of like a compartmentalization of different aspects of the ego. So the ego in a sense is like fragmented. That's for like compartmentalized into different aspects of who I am, and like these like varying voices in my head that are like, that have like a disjointedness, but also like a conjugation, a conjugative like property to it, towards it as well. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
um, what within like a group of people, what role would you say you fill?
Depends. Like it's literally kind of situational. Like for instance, depending on how competent I am, usually I'll just kind of like me but laissez-faire, but also be somewhat accountable when I do get like the work done. So when I'm like into a team and more invested into it, I can be really pushy. But I just usually let other people just delegate work and I'll just do it, just so I don't have to like, because it's more about like preserving energy than expending it unnecessarily. If the result,
Five maxing,
if the
Enneagram five maxing.
yeah, if the result is like the same, if I don't really care about like the details in a project, like if it's not a personal thing, and it's just, if it's just for you, and it's just like, yeah, you go ahead and delegate everything, I'll get my work done as long as the result's the same. It's fine. And so I'm just
Outcome,
yeah,
outcome,
yeah.
outcome.
But like, yeah, I don't know, because it's like, it's very situational. Like with my coffee like methods, I can get extremely into the finer details of the process stuff, but when it's, if it's not personal, or like in terms of like the veracity of information, like I don't really care. Then it's, yeah, it's just kind of like, just let people go out in the wilds, and just as long as the outcome's there, then it's fine. So it's just very situational, very
Yeah.
situational.
All right, man. So we've had you tight for a while, but we're just gonna go over it and feel free to critique it however you feel.
Yeah,
Um, I'm pretty sure it's gonna be interesting. I thought coming in that you would be something else, but I mean, as we're going and I'm listening, and I'm like, well, okay. So we got you as INTP.
oh yeah.
Um, it's no way that you're not TI hero.
Yeah.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
and the thing that I've noticed with INTPs is they're so smart that they don't know that other people don't know what the fuck they're talking about. So
Mm-hmm.
they continue to talk over people's head, while like an ENTP kind of knows how to tailor words a little bit better.
Mm-hmm.
So I got that feeling from you, and I'm like, holy shit, like this guy is talking right past me and Thomas. But I mean, it's just a INTP thing, you know. Usually, especially when they're super smart, that they can, you know, kind of perceive that other people know exactly what they know,
Well,
right?
and TI is their subjective understanding, so it's yeah. I mean, you know things inside and out, but the way you understand things is not necessarily translate readily translatable to other people
Yeah,
because it's
yeah,
in
I
your own
get that.
specific framework, your language.
Yeah,
Hmm.
my own like sort of modeling, right? Style, like
Yeah.
refined. Yeah,
You
yeah.
talked a lot about mental modeling. I talked, put that down. You talked a lot about mental modeling.
Mm-hmm.
You talked about your sleep deprivation. That was like SI as well. You talked about overall, like you want better categories, right?
Yeah.
So that's TI. You keep refining the information itself. You talked about like seeing things like chess methodically. That's systematic. Going through your mental models. You corrected yourself mid sentence for higher accuracy. Um, yeah, and you're informative. Yeah,
Yep, a
so
lot of details, extra context, and like this was an entire episode of you fucking demonstrating TI. Like
yeah,
if
man, very
people want
hypothetical.
a good demonstration of TI, to just watch this
Yeah,
basically.
I'm reading this like right now. So you got structure, you got abstract, interesting, you got informing, and then
Oh
you
yeah,
have
yeah.
like a
Oh,
bunch
you,
of like
you,
sides. So you have the name, you have the MBTI, which we already established. You have the
yeah.
Enneagram, which interesting because I thought in the SPSO, but I
You thought
think more.
SPSO? Yeah,
No, no,
we
no,
were
no, 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 no,
between.
no, no. I actually agree with you. Technical, more so like I believe I'm
Okay.
SOSP, but
Yeah,
like
that's what I thought.
it's more like I thought you'd thought. Like it's but like it's very interesting that we kind of congru. Like obviously, like I use mainly a different like paradigm of like socionics, but when it comes to at least MBTI, yeah, I would type myself as an INTP, and I have like historically. So yeah, unfortunately, I can't be like very like authentically like as advocate, although I could. I'll just be like extremely contrarian and say, well, no, I'm actually this type, but no, it seems like it just congrues with like where I currently type myself here.
Yeah, so the difference between ENTP and INTP is an INTP isn't gonna bullshit you on the TI, right? But the ENTP will just ask questions just to see where it goes, right?
Yeah, I
While you're
kind of
like,
do a
"Yeah,
bit
I
of
know this
both.
is a fact. You're like, I know this is a
Yeah.
fact. There's no need for me to keep going. But an ENTP might be like, okay, well, I'm just gonna challenge it just to see where it goes,
Mhm.
you know?
If I
So
was
that's
okay, so if I were really interested in terms of like kind of critiquing how you'd think, for instance, or for my entertainment, yeah, I would like employ like an extreme Socratic method, but it's just kind of a thing where it's just kind of like, yeah, like I can't be bothered. We got it right. So like, yeah, so it's just kind of like, and I would just like obfuscate by using like really sophisticated like lexical constructs just to be even more like annoying. For instance, just so that the hermeneutical like opacity just like actually antithetical to like
mhm.
transparent ideational transmission in this sense. So yeah.
Yeah. What do you type yourself as in sociology? I'm just
Oh yeah,
interested.
I'm ILI.
ILI. Is
So
that
that's
INTP or INTJ?
no,
N
that's
NITE.
INTJ, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Although we say.
Intuition, logic, introverted, yeah.
Mhm. Also, we would say like in terms of like the four-letter code, we would also use semiotics to make it slightly less confusing if we were to translate it to like a vector. But like we would use say INTP with INT little p, right? Because technically, if you're an NITE,
Because
you lead with NI, right? So it's just kind of.
perceiving dominant, yeah.
Yeah, as opposed to like what like Myers and Briggs did, it's like your first extroverted like function has this like shared orientation, so so yeah, the what you call like structurally at least what you call like PNJ and like MBTI, that would
Hmm.
what we would call static dynamic, and obviously we would have like different semantics for that as well.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I know there's a difference between like socionics and the MBTI. Like the Myers Briggs uses your first extroverted function,
Because it's what you
so
share with the world, right?
that's usually the one that you present to the world.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it usually has its orientation. Like I think a lot of times people would look at certain INTPs and notice the NE. They're a lot more fluid
Mm-hmm.
than a J type would be. Like a
Yeah,
J
yeah,
type,
yeah,
a lot less. Like you can't really like a J is not go with the flow, while like the P is
Yeah,
like
that's
a
true.
lot more
Yeah.
go with the flow.
mm-hmm.
So that's the orientation they have outwardly.
Yeah,
I do think that it does take extreme skill to pick up the TI leading the NE or the NE leading the TI. I don't think a lot of people have the skill to notice when the TI is leading the NE or the NE is
yeah.
leading the TI.
Yeah, I think like definition of irrational is more congruent with like the Ewing function, even in kind of like correlate to like conscientiousness, because like TI base, especially like modern socionics, is very much like predicated on like logical structures as kind of like a base priority, right? So you'd see a lot of kind of maybe rigidity, like some are less rigid than others, but like in terms of like in relation to their like ideological like paradigm or what they kind of hold to have like high like veracity, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm interested in like your socionic stuff now since I got you on here and
Mm-hmm.
I've got like to meet the person and see the person
See
behind the
the
post.
person, yeah, yeah, yeah.
See the
Because I'll
person
just like
behind the
post
post.
stuff and it's like, who is this guy posting
Yeah.
stuff?
Well, yeah, yeah, it's that. But it's almost like when you make a connection with the person, you know who they are, and I've seen you come on here, and I know this guy's pretty fucking accurate because there's a lot of people that come in, they spread shit, and they're fucking dumb as fuck, and I'm
Oh
just like,
yeah.
man, I
Uh-huh.
gotta get them out of here.
Uh-huh.
But like when someone's coming in, and they're accurate and they're intelligent, then it's like, okay, I'm way more interested in listening to what they think about something. Because if I think you're dumb, ain't nothing you can tell me. I promise you that. If I think you're
Yep.
fucking stupid, there's nothing you can tell me.
You're
Nothing.
cooked.
I don't even think you don't have a voice or say nothing if I think you're dumb. So
Yeah.
it's good
I
to
appreciate people who can be like direct, so I don't have to like worry too much about kind of like just like people just obfuscating like knowledge behind me. So I do appreciate like some level of transparent communication, right?
yeah. I'm looking forward to. Like, I'm gonna check out some of your stuff now, man. I'm
Thanks.
pretty
By the way, a
interested.
lot of my stuff, especially on my website, like if you are going to my website, that is like my own research is extremely like abstract. So if you have any questions about it, like hit my DMs up. You can just ping me,
Hmm.
whatever. Like, and so I'm like pretty chill about like people learning like this stuff because I do think it's very fascinating.
Hmm.
It's like
Yeah.
okay, so I will give you a warning. It's like very TI heavy. Like it's very much predicated. It's predicated on like logical structure, especially my formal works. You know,
Hmm.
like it's just
Yeah.
it's very much like I have like a paper, what a representation theoretic framework of like intertype relations in
Hmm.
like socionics, for instance, where I just kind of like use the orbital respecting dichotomy systems, and I build like an affine framework on like a map connecting
Hmm.
ITRs to like dichotomy vectors. That's
Yeah.
very fascinating.
Yeah, I'm gonna check it out, man. The only thing I would give you for advice is try to bring your TI down to
Yeah,
where people can understand it.
yeah.
Because if you're talking past people, they're just gonna check out and they're not gonna tell you they're checking out,
Oh
right?
yeah, yeah.
You see what I'm saying? And it's gonna be more digestible, and you're a smart guy, and I think it should be more out there. So I think if I was you, I would try to change it to a language that's more acceptable for people, right? Because not everybody's gonna have a 140 IQ, bro.
Yeah.
It's just reality. Most people
I think
aren't
it's
gonna.
it's difficult though because he's TI, like that's his understanding, and I think
It's
me
hard
and
for him to
Mercer, I
dumb
think
it
we're
down.
fairly
I mean,
intelligent. I think
even
we
if
can,
it takes
yeah,
more time, sorry, even if it takes
yeah,
more
you're fine.
time, I can like start like try to like dumb down like the kind of like vernacular I use, right? Like it's just fine.
Yeah,
Yeah. I'm interested, man. I'm gonna check it out. We got another session in like 10 minutes, so it's glad to get you on here, Cluster, man. It was a great one, guys. If you want to know how to see someone with high TI and especially leading with TI and not
Yeah,
NE, like if you're struggling to notice the difference between an INTP and an ENTP, this is a great session to look at, guys.
yeah. Oh, by the way, I'd love to like discuss like modeling with you, like sometime in the
Yeah.
future, perhaps and stuff. Like
Yeah,
like
you come
modeling.
on the channel. You can come on the channel, man, and we can have you can go over some of your stuff. Like you can run the whole show, and
Yeah.
I'll critique what I think is different. I've had people come on with different systems and stuff,
Mhm.
and like I critique what I think I see differently, or the similarities as well,
Mhm.
because I think ultimately we're trying to get to a point to where it all makes sense.
Yeah. Like we're just kind of like learning and converging, and we're building like our own frameworks in like meantime in terms of like how we even like systematize these systems, I guess. So we're always like fragmenting and building even holistic like frameworks, I guess, for like understanding with different layers. Hopefully, we're doing that anyway. But yeah, I mean, it's been great like talking to you, I guess. So
Huh.
uh,
All right, man, Cluster. I'm gonna see you in the Discord, and I'll definitely check out your site. And looking forward to more stuff. And maybe I'll join VC with you sometime, and we'll get you back on here, man, and we'll talk about your model and your website
oh yeah, thanks. Yeah, I'll
anytime,
see
bro.
you. I
All right,
guess.
man. Take it
all
easy,
right,
man.
Take
thank
it
you.
easy. If I can
All right.
disconnect real quick.
You can just close it out, bro. You're
Yeah,
good.
close up. Yeah, unless. Yeah.
You're
Oh
good,
wait.
man.
If I
All right.
F11 and I do this.